David Alpert of Mastery Consulting. Question from one of our accountability partners, Sophia, as follows. You ready? Hi, David. So as you know, my funnel is flooded compared to what I'm used to. Congratulations, by the way. That's the problem we all want. Well done, Sophia. I have a hard time with quick response to your texting every day and to other people, along with putting things in my schedule and working on all my other stuff. Please give me some guidance. So this is the problem we want to have, everybody, right? We want to flood the funnel and then embrace the chaos, which means a couple of things. It means, number one, honoring the flooded funnel. Number two, not getting crazy and bent out of shape because of it. But then number three, it really does mean embracing the chaos. So we're going to talk about embracing the chaos and how do we go about that? Are you ready? Step number one, when the funnel is flooded and you feel overwhelmed or stressed, all that simply means is you need to get help. And help comes in two forms. Primarily in the form of people. And many of you know my philosophy on people. Hire part-time, hire by project only, keep the rate very small. That way you can build from there. And to a lesser extent, technology as well. So number one is get a little help from people. And the way we do that is by making a capture list. As some of you know, when we started building and breaking through with this accountability program, we had way too many things going on. I made a list of 16 tasks I wanted to delegate, and I hired 4 people. And one of them is full-time with us, sort of. One of them is part-time with us, sort of. And those people, after a few hires, ended up being the right people that help us tackle most of these projects now. So now I'm a little more relaxed again, right? And we can build from here. So one of them is this delegation piece. And the way you do the delegation is one task at a time. But there is a second element to embracing the chaos. Are you ready? The second element is we have to stop doing everything ourselves. So operators think that the only way they can build their business is by working harder. Operators think that nobody can do a job as well as they can anyway. Operators believe they're supposed to do every element of every business so that everything's an A++, but the truth is operators are really trying to please people instead of build a business. Business owners say, you know what? My job is to continue building the business, and I don't have to do everything. And not everything is equal in importance. So number 2 is prioritization. What does this mean? It means the problem is not that we don't have enough time to do all the things we need to do. The problem is that we think we need to do all of these things. We don't need to do all of these things. Not everything is equal. And again, the best exercise for doing this is a little bit of thinking time, 45 minutes-ish without, electronics and distractions, a yellow pad of paper, and we need to jot down what are all of the things we're doing and identify what are the things that we ought not to do. Not everything is important. Some things are merely urgent, if that makes any sense. So the question I have for you is what things can you get off your plate? Now I'm going to give you a third tool on this. Ready? Third tool is what I like to call the action pack. An action pack. What's an action pack? An action pack is your list of 3 priorities in your business. The 3 primary objectives, if you will. I'll give you a few examples in just a moment. An action pack says we can be anything we want to be in our business, but not everything. Okay, so choose wisely what those things are. Let me give you an example. For my coaching business, I'll do this example first. In my action pack, which is, by the way, my strategic plan, it's the activities that I'm going to work on, and everything else doesn't get worked on. That's the key. Number 1 is keeping our in-person coaching calendar full. It's the bread and butter of our business. So it's keeping 40 time slots full or whatever it is right now. Number 2 is getting to 1,000 people in the accountability program, at least 250 by Christmas. Okay. Number 3 is filling 2 board of directors with 8 professionals each. That's it. Those are my 3 objectives. And under each, I jot down 3 action items that guarantee that I'll hit the objective. What are the 3 action items that if I do them well, holy moly, I'm going to hit those objectives for sure? Let me give you a different version of an action pack, by the way, for you. Ready? I have a married couple realtors, who their action pack is, number 1, get to 40 transactions next year with 3 primary action items towards getting there. And in case you're curious, number 1 is database marketing, and they actually have a schedule behind that we track every time we get together to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Number 2 for them is Facebook, social media, and they have on a backup template, a backup sheet, a checklist of things they need to do, and we check that list every time I get together with them, right? And their number 3 is open houses. And again, they have a backup checklist for every open house because they want to do 192 open houses this year, by the way. And if you think that's crazy, they're doing almost 2/3 of that right now as it is. But they have a checklist of all the different action items for each open house to make it a special promotion as opposed to just showing up and sitting down. Okay. So they're number one, hitting the 40 transactions. They have 3 action items with backup templates. Okay. Their number 2, by the way, is systems for their business. And in the parentheses, to make it easier, leverage. And number 1, for example, is a seller's checklist. So in listing transactions or seller transactions, they have a checklist that's a backup template where for each listing, they actually have a list of things they need to do and mark off as they do them. So it gives them structure. And they also have training for their office, et cetera. What I'm trying to say is, I don't mean to give you too many details on this, is they only have 2 action items in their action pack, get to 40 and systems for their business. And each one only has 3 sort of 2000, next 12-month action items, I should say, right? So let me go back to Sophia's question here, just so we can kind of get back to North Star here, or get centered here. She put, so as you know, my funnel is flooded with compared to what I'm used to. Excellent. I'm having a hard time with quick response to you and others, along with putting things in my schedule and working on my other stuff. Give me some guidance. Well, the issue here is we think everything's important. Not everything's important. So select those 3 targets that are most important to you, whatever they may be. Number 1 might be, relationships with people in the database. And there might be 3 action items. Number 2, et cetera, et cetera. Define what that is. And then what we do, what you need accountability on, is somebody having a conversation like a coach here, right? And those are the things that you want to do on a daily basis, to the neglect of other things. Now, of course, I would argue that the texting with me is really useful. Now, bear in mind, let me just kind of, if I can do a little bit of reality with you here for a moment. About 1/3 of the people in this accountability program are texting with me like daily, like it's discipline, with discipline. About 1/3 are doing it just once or twice or 3 times a week. And about 1/3 are doing it rarely, if ever. Listen to me carefully. If you can do more, it's great. But if you don't do it. Don't beat yourself up here. Your objective is to build a business. Continue to use the content and the reminders that I'm sending you by text to jog your memory as to what you're supposed to do. Sophia, what I'm trying to tell you is, I'd love for you to text. I think it creates a dialogue, right? And maybe make the text shorter. Maybe just put Y for yes and 1, keep it short and simple. Make the things that are not the highest things on your action list as simple as possible, okay? And pick those items. Maybe you use the accountability questions to get you simplified on this one. Eliminate and delegate. So let's go through this. By the way, what can you do with items on your action list that are overwhelming you? You have 4 options. Are you ready? Delegation, number 1. Delegation is when you give it to somebody who's on your team. Okay, outsourcing. What's outsourcing? Outsourcing, number 2, is giving it to somebody that's not on your team. Could be a one-time project or somebody elsewhere. Number 3, okay, elimination. Elimination means you don't do it at all anymore. It wasn't even worth it. And number 4, which is crazy, but is also a good strategy at times, is ignoring. Sometimes ignoring something is the right strategy and appropriate, because somebody else handles it, or it gets taken care of by itself and disappears. My question for you today is based on Sophia's excellent question and excellent problem. Congratulations. We all want that problem. What action item might you take today to reduce the number of things on your plate? Hope this is helpful, folks.